This is Broadcast Obituaries, Gone Too Soon. We exhume a short-lived TV series, episode by episode, give it a proper eulogy, and answer the burning question, was it canceled too soon or not soon enough? Analysis, nostalgia, and our final verdict on TV's fallen heroes.
Hey everyone, I'm Rob.
And I'm Aaron, and welcome to episode 18, Earth 2 Beyond Cyberspace.
Nice.
Yeah, it is nice. You know what that's a play off of? Beyond Cyberspace, Rob?
No, what's it related to?
Lawnmower Man, the sequel.
Okay,
Part 2 is Beyond Cyberspace. I felt like it tied into this episode.
I never even saw the first one. I didn't know there was a second one until just now.
Well, I'm not sure there should have been, but there was one.
Okay.
You should check it out. I know you don't like horror movies, you don't like to be scared, but I think you could do Lawnmower Man. It was a 90s horror movie that's like set in virtual reality, so it's really interesting. And it's got everything's polyhedral.
Who was in that?
You know.
Was Tony Todd in that?
No, he was in Candyman.
Okay, that's what I thought. I've always gotten those two confused.
I can't remember who was in Lawnmower Man. I'm gonna look it up right now though.
Well, it's probably nobody, honestly.
Well, no, it was. I'm glad I looked this up. So Jeff Fahey played Job. He was the murderer. Pierce Brosnan.
What?
Was in it.
James Bond himself?
James Bond himself. Jeffrey Lewis, which if you saw Jeffrey Lewis, you would recognize him for sure. It was the director, not of the movie, but the character was Dean Joseph Norris, who the only thing I can ever think of him from is Starship Troopers. He was one of the colonels or boot camp commanders when they were in boot camp.
Okay.
You would recognize him if you saw him.
Man,
There's actually some real people.
I love Starship Troopers.
Yeah, that's good.
Let's talk about Starship Troopers. How about that?
No, not today, Rob. We're not going to talk about Star Trek or Starship Troopers.
Yeah, right.
Just Earth 2.
And Lawnmower Man, apparently.
And Lawnmower Man.
So that description, was that Lawnmower Man 1 or 2?
That was part 1. I've seen the sequel, bits and pieces of it. It was not good. But I know that Matt Frewer was the main guy in that one, if you remember him.
I do not.
I think he was the same guy that was Max Headroom. The guy who was Max Headroom from the 80s? You know Max Headroom?
I remember Max Headroom.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. Yeah, I was about to question.
Yes, I do remember the 80s, of which Max Headroom was a fairly major part for some reason.
He was.
I don't know why, but he was.
Yeah.
Is that an important text you're getting there? Is that a super important text?
Yeah, my wife's picking up Starbucks for me, and she told me that she had them add red and green sprinkles to make it more festive.
Okay.
If you're listening to this way out in, January, February?
Yeah.
We're right before Christmas right now. So
6 days. 6 days before Christmas.
6 days.
Merry Christmas, Aaron.
Yep. Merry Christmas, Rob.
Enjoy that festive coffee when you get it.
Yep. It's going to be delicious.
Anyway, Beyond Cyberspace. Great title for today because it really ties in.
Yeah, it does tie in. So today's episode of Earth 2 is called All About Eve. This is episode 19 of the series. And also the season finale. But we still have 2 episodes to review that came out past this, so I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit. But before we jump into the episode, Rob, do you want to take us back in time to May 21st, 1995?
Let's go. Let's jump in the time machine.
Back in time. Back in time. Back in time.
All right, so May 21st, 1995. The number 1 song in the U.S., it is still This Is How We Do It by Montel Jordan. And that has not changed. Keep in mind, it has been a month since the last episode came out. It's only been a week since we recorded, but it's been 4 full weeks since the last episode came out. This song is still number 1 on the charts.
It had a real grip on the nation. That's amazing.
It did.
Was it that huge. Good?
I choose not to denigrate it and say no.
We don't want to lose our tens of followers.
We do not. We do not. I don't want to offend anyone that has Montel Jordan posters up in their room still and has this on a loop playing in their cassette deck in their car. I do not want to offend anybody. So, honestly, I don't feel that there is a lot of bad music out there. There's music that we may not enjoy ourselves. I am definitely that way. There are lots of things I don't care for. I don't think the other stuff is bad, for the most part. There is some stuff I hear and I'm like, that is awful. This is how we do it. That is a fun song. It's not something I listen to regularly, but if I hear it, it's cool.
Oh, yeah.
You
sing along, don't you?
Absolutely. Yeah. But it is not like my chosen genre. It was very catchy, and that just made it super popular at the time. It really caught on. But that was in the U.S.
Let my kids listen to it.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll love that.
Yeah.
Maybe you could sing them your pick your nose and chew it version.
No, they'll make fun of me at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll tell me I don't have any riz. Tell me that I'm sus and 6'7" and all that slang.
So. Right. Okay, so that's the number one song in the US. In the UK, this one, I don't get it, honestly, but it is a very popular song. It is The Unchained Melody, which, if you don't recall off the top of your head, anyone listening, that is what we know of as the song from Ghost. It is the main song from Ghost, The Unchained Melody. But this is a version recorded by a band called Robson and Jerome. And one of these guys was an actor. I don't know who the other one was, but it's a British group and they only did covers. But this song, somehow it made it to the top of the charts. And it didn't really have anything to do with Ghost. Ghost came out in 1990. I had to double check it. And the version that we know of in the movie was sung by one of the Righteous Brothers. But the movie came out in 1990. This episode is 1995. It just got really popular and it reached number one and it stayed there for 7 weeks. And it became the best-selling song of 1995 in the UK. And it was also one of the best-selling songs of the 90s until it was finally taken over in 1997. Any guesses on what may have overtaken it in 97?
My brain wants to say the Macarena.
No, definitely not. It's a British thing. It's a British thing. There was a huge event that happened.
Just in UK. Okay.
It happened. It was a very, very major event that happened in the UK in 97. Elton John wrote a song about it. It was Candle in the Wind, 1997, his tribute to Diana, Princess of Wales, when she passed away.
Yep.
But until that song came out, this song, Unchained Melody by Robson and Jerome, was one of the best-selling songs of the 90s in the UK, and it remains one of their best-selling singles of all time. Insane. I did listen to it. Wild. It does not sound very different from the version we know from Ghost. Yeah. Well, I don't even know who did the originals. Lots of people have recorded this song.
Yeah.
But the one that we know from Ghost, it sounds pretty similar, except they have a slight British accent, honestly.
That's amazing to me that a cover was that popular in the UK.
Yeah, I know.
That it hit the charts and stayed there.
Number one.
Yeah.
And I mean, covers do that, like Whitney Houston's The Song from the Bodyguard and I Will Always Love You. That was probably a number one song, I'm guessing. That was actually a Dolly Parton cover. So covers can't hit it when someone does an incredible performance and changes it up enough. Or if it's used in a movie or something, it can really hit the consciousness and hit their
stick. Yeah.
Again, I don't know what it was for this version of Unchained Melody that did it. Maybe these guys maybe one was a very popular actor, super popular, and it caught on.
It could be.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the main thing that I have from music. Actually, I have some albums here. Let's talk about those for just a second before we get into the movies from this weekend. Remember, I don't know if you remember how big April of 95 was. We talked about the albums last time. Just a massive lineup of those albums. As huge as April was, May was the opposite. There was very little major albums. April, huh? Yeah, there was not much coming out in May.
Is that the end of the record company's fiscal year?
Maybe.
April?
They had to get everything out.
Now, guys.
We got to get it out in April. Yeah, no. So in May there was a Bob Dylan album, MTV Unplugged. I'm personally not going to listen to Bob Dylan. I do not like his voice. Yeah. I get that he's a good songwriter, but I can't listen to him. If I were to listen to one, it would probably be MTV Unplugged, honestly, just to see what it's like.
Yeah, his son though. It's really
Jacob.
Good music. Jacob did really good music. The Wallflowers.
I love the Wallflowers.
So good.
I'm a huge fan. You and I went and saw them together. Actually,
we did. We saw them in concert. Yeah, that was amazing.
Phenomenal.
Really
yeah, it was a great show. Let's see. So Ted Nugent had an album come out. He was big for some people, not for me again.
Yeah, not me either.
There were a couple, this must have been ska's heyday, because there were a couple ska albums. Real Big Fish, if you remember them, and the Squirrel Nut Zippers. They both had albums. I don't know.
I don't recognize either of those.
Really? I remember Real Big Fish, the name. I couldn't tell you what they sang, but I definitely remember the name. Probably the biggest album that came out in May, though, was Chris Isaak and his album Forever Blue, which had the song Baby Did a Bad Bad Thing, which was a hugely popular song. And Somebody's Crying, also a pretty popular one, and Graduation Day. Those were all singles from that album. So he was actually Grammy nominated for Best Album, but he ended up losing out to Jagged Little Pill by Alanis Morissette, which we've discussed in the past. As good as this Chris Isaak album was, and it is a very good album, it's not going to compare to Jagged Little Pill, that's for sure. At the box office, I'm going to go through the top 4 movies. The number one movie at the box office, movie that came out just 2 days prior to this, was Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Yeah.
Remember that one? That's Die Hard 3. If we're trying to keep track, it's easy to lose count.
Yeah.
Because the names all start to run together. This is the one with Sam Jackson.
Yeah. What's your lineup for the Die Hard movies?
Okay.
And remember, we saw the very last one.
I know.
In theaters.
We sure did.
We sure did.
How many are there? Was that 5 or 6?
I think that was 5.
Okay. To me, if anything after 3 is a big nothing burger. Like, zilch. It means nothing. When I saw this one in theaters, Die Hard with a Vengeance, which I did go see in the theater, it immediately became my favorite Die Hard movie. However, after rewatching it a few times years later, I realized it is really not very good. My current ranking years now, after having experienced all 5 or 6 or 10, however many movies there are in this series.
5.
5, okay. My ranking honestly goes in order. Die Hard is my favorite, Die Hard 2 is the next, and then Die Hard with a Vengeance is my third. And the others are in existence, and I don't care.
Yeah, I have the exact same ranking, and it's funny because I did the exact same thing. Just a few years ago, I watched Die Hard with a Vengeance, and it was one of those movies I watched, and I was like, I wish I wouldn't have rewatched it because my memory of it was so much better than the actual movie was itself.
So much. Yep.
Yeah, and then my ranking went the same way: Die Hard, Die Hard 2, Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Yeah.
And then Live Free or Die Hard and A Good Day to Die Hard can just bite the dust. I am not interested in them. Yeah.
Right.
And it does say here, interesting, that there was in 2020, there was a short film called Die Hard is Back, and it was a commercial.
Okay.
I'm going to have to look this up later.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Interesting. So
I don't know if I saw that or not.
I love Die Hard. It is a fantastic movie. Yeah, I've read a number of screenwriting books, and that is often used as an example of like a perfect action movie script. And it is a great movie. But people often forget about Die Hard 2, which is a great movie as well. Really honestly, good. It is, to me, it is like Die Hard is like 1 and Die Hard 2 is 1A. They are right there.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Great movies.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. And I love that there's a scene where he stabs a guy in the eye with an icicle.
Yeah.
I remember watching that when that came out in 1990, and I was way too young to be watching Die Hard movies.
Yes,
but I was watching it. I wasn't even 10, but I remember watching it. It was awesome. But it was the 80s. Absolutely. We were allowed to watch that stuff.
Right. So. A bit of a non sequitur here. I was at a work lunch yesterday, and someone mentioned that one of our coworkers was on his way, and I said, "What, are you tracking him on like Life 360 or something? How'd you know?" And she said, "Well, I just messaged him." And she said, "But we use that for our kids all the time." She's like, "I don't know what our parents did for us." And I looked at her and I said, "Our parents didn't care. Like, no. It was a totally different generation. They weren't worried about us getting to where we were going or getting home. Like, it just was a non-factor to them. They didn't need a Life 360 or a Find My iPhone or whatever it is on iPhone. They didn't need any of that stuff because they didn't care. It was so different.
It didn't matter. I remember I'd tell my kids often, like, I would just listen for my mom to shout my name. I'd be outside playing, and she would just step outside and yell my name. And I was like, I got to go. It's time to go in.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
But
that's all it was.
So we're also from a generation that had commercials reminding parents, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are?
You should check on your kids, dummies.
Yeah, you should. Yeah.
Yeah. Why did they not know? Why did
they
care
really
so
didn't care. They really didn't care.
But so that's my tie-in to kids younger than 10 watching movies like Die Hard and all these other things that we really should not have been watching back then. But our parents, they didn't care.
We had no supervision. At
No,
all.
Yeah, none. Back in Time segment here today is taking forever, and I apologize, but I love talking about all this old stuff. The number 2 movie, I also saw this one in the theater. It was Crimson Tide. Remember Crimson Tide?
Oh, I do. I didn't see that in theaters, but I have seen it. It's fantastic.
Oh, it's a great movie. I love it. And I think this is one of the first Denzel Washington movies that I can remember. Like, that I remember seeing. Not just when it was new, but just one of the first ones that I remember seeing.
I feel like it was the first one for me that made him a recognizable actor.
Okay. Yeah.
And then after that, Equalizer, and he just had a slew of movies. They're just fantastic.
He definitely took off. Yeah. But before this time, I probably did not pay a whole lot of attention to who actors were.
Same.
You know, or what they did. So, but I noticed him in this. I was like, oh, who is this? I got to remember this guy. And same with, I knew who Gene Hackman was just because of, Superman mostly.
Yeah. Not Hoosiers. You didn't know Gene Hackman from Hoosiers?
I did
wait, I always forget you're not from Indiana.
I am not from Indiana, right? So I was not ingrained with the story of Hoosiers as a kid. I didn't see Hoosiers honestly until probably 10 years ago.
Oh, wow. Yeah. My dad grew up in the town where the gym that they filmed in is. So when we used to go back to his town, we haven't been back for years, we'd stop in, and it was the funniest little, like, the gym, you go in and they got like a little table, like a tiny little table is like a memorial to Hoosiers. Yeah. But they still use the space for events and things, so it's not like a real museum. They're just, I don't know, small town
It's an active museum, I believe. My kids played a basketball game there, so they still host basketball
Well, it
games.
is. Yeah. But it's just like the memorial when we used to go was so small for the movie.
Yeah.
They had a
it still
tiny
is.
little tube TV that
I was
played
there. I was there like 2 or 3 years ago. It hasn't
to say it
changed.
hasn't changed.
It has not changed.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Gene Hackman, Crimson Tide, great movie.
So good.
Number 3 was Forget Paris. Did you ever see that? Billy Crystal?
I didn't.
Okay.
No.
I did see this one. I didn't see it in theaters, though. I saw it, when I was a kid. Every once in a while, HBO would be free to the masses. And when HBO was free for like a weekend, I would just go buy like a 6-pack of VHS tapes. And I would just record every movie that they played. And I would watch them. And I watched Forget Paris. And I don't really remember much about it. It was a rom-com directed by Billy Crystal as well as starring him. And I know he played an NBA ref in it. And it kind of starts out, this basketball game is happening, and it's all this action and everything, and this shot goes down. It's just showing the game. Everyone's celebrating as this shot goes through with the buzzer, and then all of a sudden Billy Crystal comes running out, blowing his whistle, waving the shot off, and saying it was after the clock expired. The shot does not count. And the whole stadium starts cursing at him and yelling at him as the ref. And then it turns out he was correct. Like, they do a slow-mo replay, which now we do for everything in sports. But back then it was not super common. But he was 100% right. It happened that way. But that's really every memory that I have of that movie. It was right there. I just told everybody about it.
Is that one scene what kept you in the movie, hoping that more basketball would happen?
I think so. Yes. And I think it did have like some basketball players in it. Like they would pop in like to various scenes, but I barely remember what those are about. I couldn't tell you.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see. Our box office: number 1, Die Hard with a Vengeance. Number 2, Crimson Tide. Number 3, Forget Paris. Number 4 is a repeat. While You Were Sleeping. It is still on the charts. It was the number 1 movie through the entire month of April. It is now the end of May, and this weekend it made $4.5 million still, which is about half of what Crimson Tide brought in that weekend. So it's still doing pretty well, honestly. Good showing. Yeah. So anyway,
May's getting you right before the summer blockbusters are going to drop. So you always had that real slowdown in movies where sometimes you'd get some gems, but most of them are just not great.
Yeah. Maybe, the week after this is Memorial Day, roughly. Mm-hmm. Memorial Day weekend is usually pretty big. So maybe for our next episode, we will have something better to report.
Yeah. Some bangers.
What was coming out, exactly. Or who knows, maybe Die Hard will still be at the top of the list because that one too is a banger. So anyway, this has been Back in Time. Thanks for listening.
Thanks, Rob.
My pleasure.
And back to Earth 2.
Back to Earth 2.
Back to Earth 2. All right. So this episode was called All About Eve. As I said before, it was the season finale, but it was not the last episode, to air. So we start to get into a lot of that wonkiness that we've been preparing for.
Yep. As I recall from what I've read, this one, they basically just cut out the other 2 episodes that we have left to go. And I'm not sure they were even going to show them at all. However, since they were airing this one and it was the season finale, they were just like, well, we've got these other episodes. Let's just go ahead and put them on TV.
Put them out there.
Yeah. So I don't think it was totally on purpose. They were like, let's put these 2. These are really good. Let's put them at the end. No, they're probably not really good. I'm guessing. But no, they were ones they were kind of going to cut, but ended up just running them anyway as an afterthought, basically. They're just an afterthought.
Yeah, it's a real shame, honestly. But
yep.
So in this episode, facing an unknown illness where they progressively deteriorate, the colonists find the remains of a Venus-class council research ship containing several cold sleep crypts. The 2 survivors are distressed they are not back on Earth.
Hey, do you want to go way, way back in time for a second?
Yeah.
Let's go way, way back in time.
Like how far back?
I'm not going to 1950.
Gee, okay.
1950.
Way back.
Way back in time. I'm not going to make a new theme song for this. This is not going to be a regular segment. We're not going way back in time.
Way back in time.
Back in time. We're not doing that. Maybe we will. We'll see. So 1950, there's a movie that came out called All About Eve. That is the namesake for our episode today. Just a little background on that. 1950 was an American drama film, and it is widely regarded as one of the greatest American films of all time, apparently. I have never seen this. I don't know about you.
I have not either.
Okay.
No.
It was directed by Joseph Mankiewicz, and it starred Betty Davis and Ann Baxter. I don't really know Ann Baxter. Betty Davis, though, was one of the biggest actresses of her day. It also had Marilyn Monroe in it in a very early role for her. So this movie won Best Oscars for Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Adapted Screenplay. It's a little ironic that it did not win Best Actress because they actually had two, Betty Davis and Ann Baxter, were both up for Best Actress, but they lost out to someone else in a movie I've never heard of, and I've never heard of the actress either. But
yeah.
That happens sometimes with those Oscars. The award for Best Director here for Mankiewicz, it was actually his second in a row. He won that same award the previous year for a movie called A Letter to Three Wives. So kind of crazy. I'm not sure if there's ever been a director other than that who won back-to-back Best Director Oscars. I'm sure you are all curious, though, why this episode has used this title to spoof it. And, kind of like how we spoof our titles and copy them from other things. They did the same thing here. And actually, Earth 2 has done that a number of times.
Yeah, a few times.
Brave New Pacifica, Natural Born Grendlers, All About Eve. So here's the tie-in together with these two. There is not one. That's how. It's just
there's not one.
There's a character in each named Eve. And that is literally all. And that is the only tie-in. There is no resemblance in plot or story or anything like that from that movie to this episode. It is just all about the title.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
I was hoping that you would find some kind of magical connection.
Maybe if I watched the movie, I would find something in there. But just reading the description, a fairly detailed plot, I could not find any actual tie-in. So, sorry. So anyway, that was way back in time. And I don't know. I find little trivia bits like that interesting anyway. So just a little bit about the namesake of our episode to be, fully involved in this episode here.
I never would have thought to go back and even look to see if this was the same title as something else. So,
I started Googling. I've heard of this movie, but it just definitely sounded very familiar. And so I looked it up and yep, sure enough, there it is. Old movie. Anyway, that's all I got.
All right.
On to our discussion.
All right. Yeah. Okay. So where were we at? So in the opening of this one, they do like a little synopsis and something threw me here. And I'm going to see if you understood what was going on. So Julia's narrating and she's talking about things that have happened in past episodes. And she references the Watcher. And then they show Riley, played by Terry O'Quinn. Have we ever heard them reference the Watcher before? Who was the Watcher?
I think so. I'm sure that's Riley.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's one of the two episodes that didn't air yet.
I don't think so. I really don't think. I mean, I haven't watched them yet. But like the first one that we're gonna watch, or not, I'm not even sure what order they're in. We have two left: Flower Child and Natural Born Grendlers.
I think it's Natural Born Grendlers and then Flower Child.
Okay, so Natural Born Grendlers happened before, like it was filmed before we even found out Julia was a spy. So we would not have known about Riley or at that time. Flower Child was actually intended to air right before today's episode.
But they weren't talking about him at that point.
They were not. He's been completely out of it, basically, at this point in the story. And like I've read the synopsis for the next episode, it does not mention him at all. And it's a completely different story, so it'd be weird if it comes back up.
Yeah. So it threw me when I heard the narration, because I immediately had to like stop it and sit and think, who in the world is the Watcher? Because it's very clear that they want you to know that the Watcher is a person who's never existed in this story so far.
Right.
Anyway, that was a little weird for me. I'm glad I'm not alone.
Yep.
So basically this opens up and everybody's sick. So winter is over, and as they're packing up camp and deciding, to get hit in the road again, everybody's got this mysterious illness. And we open with one of their own, the character favorite, the one we all know and love and we can't believe died. Eben has passed away.
Wait, who?
Eben. Remember Eben?
Eben.
I think it was Eben. E-B-E-N. Eben. You don't remember Eben? She did that thing, that time in that episode. You don't remember that?
Oh, right, that one.
She turned and you saw her hair flip for a minute. That was Eben.
Oh, right, yeah. I never even got the name, honestly. Like, I slowed it down and zoomed in on the tombstone, and I couldn't catch it. And I think they mentioned this person later on in the episode. Mm-hmm. I could not pick up the name. I did my best. There was actually a number of occasions throughout this episode where I could not understand the dialogue.
Oh, same.
I could not, and I was turning it up and leaning in close to the speaker, and I could not understand what they were saying. And it really impacted my experience.
I often will turn on closed captions when I can't understand what's being said.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah. We do too, like on our normally, but I didn't think to do it for the DVD here.
Yeah.
One note, the first thing I wrote down was, hey, they're not in Mary's Garden anymore. And
yeah,
they do say at one point in here, we've been in this valley for 8 days and we've been sick for 6. So they think the sickness is tied to the valley. So they've already left Mary's Garden and they are gone. They are somewhere
so they
else
broke
totally.
camp already.
Yeah.
They already been on the road. Okay.
Yeah, but it's weird because it's just out of nowhere. Like, where are we? What's going on here?
Yeah.
I wonder if when we go back and watch that one that they skipped, Flower Child, if we'll see them leaving Mary's Garden or talking about it or anything. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll find out. So, of course, everybody's sick, so everybody's on edge. Even the group favorite has passed.
How are we going to move on without that character?
I don't know, but they do.
Yeah,
they bury her and they just leave. Yep. So they're fine with it.
Hope she's really dead.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean,
right?
I don't. I hope she's alive, but hope they didn't bury her alive. Let's put it that way.
Hopefully it's not another Koba incident here.
Yep.
So they're all arguing, and the one thing that I picked up on here for me is that Morgan is like, he just opens being a real jerk.
Yep.
And I immediately think that Morgan's not built for this, and Julia's talking to them about the illness, and she doesn't know what's going on. She doesn't understand what's causing it. She just can't help. And Morgan rips her a new one.
Take a look at us. Withering away here one by one, and our only doctor doesn't have a clue.
He's like, you're the only doctor here, and you can't even help us? It's like, what good are you?
Such a jerk. Such a jerk.
Yeah. But Julia's boyfriend comes to her rescue. Alonzo lays a smackdown.
Right.
So.
Yeah, so Morgan has to go off and sulk.
He does. That's exactly what I put in my notes.
Did you?
He stalks off to be sad. Yeah. And I will say this. I knew what he was going to do. He stalks off away from the group, and I wrote in my notes, I guess it's time for some VR jazz. And then he puts the headset on, and guess what? VR jazz.
I did not expect it at all. I was still surprised when he put the headset on.
You did? Yeah. I was really proud of myself. I was sitting in the living room laughing at myself. Yep, Nobody else knew it. Nice. But yeah, and then so he's got his drums, he's getting ready to go, and then this mysterious person just appears.
Yeah.
It says his name is Franklin Bennett, and he's playing a saxophone.
Yeah.
And then just as soon as he shows up, he leaves.
Yeah. Morgan's like, "What are you doing here? You're not part of this program."
Yeah. He's completely confused. And that's it. But we don't really hear.
Well, he tells them, "You can't. There's no cure for this. You're all doomed. But if you help me, I can help you."
Right.
And that's that's all we know.
That's it. Yeah.
Cut to the credits.
That's it. Show's over. So we cut back to the camp, and this is part of the show that really gets me. This is like the smallest group of colonists. They are all so quick to deceive each other. So we get back. Morgan runs over to the rover, hops in, does a little typey-do on the keyboard, looks all nervous, is watching over his shoulder, doesn't want to get caught, and then he leaves. And it just kills me that these people, after all this time, just wouldn't share everything. If you had that experience, wouldn't you tell everybody?
Yeah, honestly, if he just done what he was doing there, that we will learn in a minute, is he was putting in the coordinates where the rover was supposed to go, or whatever they call it, the dune buggy rail, the dune rail. No.
Dune rail.
Yeah, the dune rail. That's right.
Yeah.
He's putting the coordinates where that was going to go, and then it was going to stop there because they were going to find something once they get there. If he had just told everybody else what he experienced and what they would find, they'd all be like, we should go check this out. Like, he wouldn't have to deceive them. They would be on board.
Yeah, it's just weird to me that there's so much deception, that's the place they want to go. It doesn't surprise me with Morgan. I would expect Morgan to be like that every time. But at some point in the show, every character at some point has deceived or lied to somebody else in the group about something they could have just been open about.
Well, it's so that the show can happen. Honestly,
I know, but
it's frustrating to see it, but I've seen so many shows now. I think of The Flash, the TV show, where people are constantly not talking about things with each other that are super easily cleared up. Or even like the Harry Potter movies get me. Like, there are certain things in there, even the books, where I'm just like, man, if you would just tell this person what you're thinking, you would clear up this entire mystery and situation instantly, in about half a second. But that's why they don't. They have to do something to keep the mystery going.
Yeah.
But it gets, you see it so much that it gets really frustrating as a viewer or reader.
And that's what it is. Like, from Morgan, I would expect Morgan to always have those episodes.
Yeah.
Because that's within his character.
Absolutely.
But yeah, just killed me. So he does that. They go back and they argue about, what do we just stay here and die? Or do we hit the road while we still have some life in us and see how far we can get, right? So they get to traveling, and you're right. The rover just stops. Everybody's mad. Why'd you stop, man? Why'd you stop? Conveniently, there's the Venus ship.
Right.
So They find the research ship.
Morgan spots it. He's as soon as they stop, he starts looking around, and then he sees it.
Yeah,
so they go
he
check
knows.
it out.
Alonzo, super excited. He used to fly these.
Yeah.
He loves it. They think it's a Jupiter-class ship, but it's not. He corrects them. It's Venus-class. It's 30 years older than its predecessor.
Better than 100 years old.
Yeah. Yep.
Danziger says, that's your age, Alonzo.
Yeah. I always forget that Alonzo's actually really old.
I don't think he's that old, because he says, hey, shut up, or something like that. Like, I don't think he's actually that old, but he's an old-timer. Yeah.
He's an old-timer. And Alonzo knows immediately how to open the ship, so he goes to open it. And here's my first thought, and I know what you're going to say, because you're very good at just calling me back to real life. I know this is just a TV show, Rob. I know this.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Every time a ship has crashed, and this is any sci-fi series, why do they always crash right side up? Why can you always just open a door and walk in, and it's never a big deal?
Right.
Shouldn't these things be upside down, sideways? It should be really difficult to get in and out of.
I mean, it's like on that one sci-fi show that we're not talking about today. When the ships all meet together out in space, they're all oriented the exact same direction. Like the tops of the ships are all on the top.
Perfect.
In real life, they would pull up to these coordinates to meet. Come out of warp space in Star Trek. It's Star Trek, in case you didn't know. You come out, and one would be right side up to what we're thinking on the screen. The other would be sideways to it. Another one would be upside down. Like completely different orientations. They're totally different.
In space.
Yes.
Yeah.
The direction that you leave from your planet might end up whenever you leave from wherever, it's going to decide your orientation when you get there, unless you flip it for some reason manually.
Unless you just let do barrel rolls.
How do you know which way to flip it? Right, exactly. It's it's always killed me. And again, you're right. That is just for how it appears on TV. It's the only reason they do it. But if I did it, like these ships would pull up to each other and one would be completely upside down. I think it'd be funny just to be like that.
Yeah. Yeah, just nose down. The door is buried. Like, I guess we can't get in.
Right. Yep.
And they move on.
Never sync them up.
Nope. So they get in, though. Alonzo can open the door. And we get a little more history on the Venus-class ships. They're nuclear powered, so power is going to last forever in them. And as they're exploring the ship, they find, I think it's 7 cold pods?
6 or 7, yeah.
6, 7. I got to do it, man. I got to do it. My kids would be disappointed
if
they listen to this episode.
I'm revoking your 90s card.
I did it for my kids. That's what I'm going to say. So they find these cold pods, and they don't know what to do with them. They're immediately nervous about taking any action.
Just for the record, when you say cold pod, you mean there are people in cryo sleep, right?
Cryo sleep, yeah.
It's not like a bean pod that's chilly.
No.
Okay, all right. Just making sure.
Yeah.
Make sure we're on the same page.
Cryo sleep. Yeah, I'll say cryo sleep for now on.
Okay. Cold sleep, cryo sleep.
Cold sleep, yeah. And sure enough, there's Mr. Sachs himself, Franklin Bennett, just hanging out with his other popsicle buddies.
Sound asleep.
Yeah. So they don't really do much there. They leave, they go back, and they're trying to figure out what to do. They must pull records from the ship because they learn that it's a council research vessel. They're trying to decide what to do with the ship. This is where Danziger surprised me again. I don't know if you thought anything of this, but they're like, well, what do we do with these people? And Julia's nervous about waking them up because of, what's she call it? Cold sleep syndrome?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. Danziger's, let's salvage the ship, take everything we can, and just leave them. Let's just leave them. Leave them in cold cryo sleep.
That did surprise me, but maybe his thinking is, when the colony ship gets here, we'll have more resources. Maybe someone can help them at that point.
Wake them up then.
If they're afraid to wake them up because they might die, which is a very well-founded fear, maybe letting them sleep is the best thing. So maybe that's what he's implying. Like, let's just let them sleep. Nothing we can do. Let's let them sleep.
Yeah, I think sometimes Danziger's delivery is colder than it's intended to be.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sure he cares about him, but the way he says it, he's just like, meh.
I'm not even sure he cares about him, honestly. But he has a very black and white, make a decision. It's yes or no, and you move on. And you don't spend a lot of time waffling or trying to make decisions. You just make your decision.
Especially when and you're sick and dying. You don't have time to discuss. You gotta figure stuff out. So But who's not there having that conversation?
Morgan,
of course.
That guy.
And he's back on the ship, waking them all up from cold sleep. He's beeping and booping on the old number pads, reciting a sequence that he's got to put in. And of course he gets busted. Everybody rushes in. They're like, what are you doing? Julia doesn't know how to stop it. She doesn't know how to do anything with it. And
what good is she? Just kidding.
No good.
That's what Morgan was ripping her apart.
She's not even a good mad scientist. She doesn't even know how to work archaic technology at this point.
Right. Lame.
We gotta find an override.
It's too late. We're gonna lose them. 4 is gone.
But everybody's dying. He beeped and booped on did the sequences, and then everybody just starts dying. The machines are going, everybody's waking up and falling out, and they only get 2 out alive: Franklin Bennett and his wife or girlfriend, Elizabeth. They're romantic at some point, but we don't know if they're married or not.
Honestly, I couldn't even catch her name until much later in the episode.
Same.
I couldn't figure it out. I just, through most of my notes here, she's referred to as Lady Doctor.
Lady Doctor, because she's also a doctor.
Which kind of sounds like a gynecologist, but that's not what I mean here. Maybe Lady Scientist would be a better thing.
Yeah, or just doctor.
Well,
because if you keep saying
that's how I distinguish between Bennett. He's the man doctor.
Okay.
We got man doctor and we got lady doctor.
Okay, I like it. So we got man doctor and gynecologist. Got it.
Yeah.
So Franklin and Elizabeth come out of cold sleep, and they're obviously really confused. They They think they're back home on Earth at this point. That's where the ship was going. And they're really excited about being home finally, only to find out they never made it. And Franklin, he's a little incoherent, says something about those bloody murderers, and that's it. That's kind of where that scene ends. So immediately you set up this mystery. Who sabotaged them, left them on this planet? What's going on? But Elizabeth does find out that Eben died. And even Elizabeth knew who Eben was. She was like, the Eben?
You're
like, how
kidding
did you know?
me.
You were in cryo sleep and you still knew about
She is legend.
Legend. We heard her stories from the Terrians. We knew. But Elizabeth wants to examine the body. So I think Elizabeth at this point, for me, had an inkling of what might be going on. And she was like, we need to examine the body, because she eventually figures out what's going on pretty quick.
Yep.
So, of course, they send Alonzo and Danziger back to get Eben's body. That's definitely a theme in this show. Let's bury this person and then leave them, and then we'll go back.
We'll go back and get them later.
Yeah,
it's only a couple days away.
Yeah. And Alonzo and Danziger talk a little bit about how they don't really trust Franklin and Elizabeth, and
they're not getting
telling
full story.
them everything.
We should also point out that Morgan is kind of freaking out because everyone's mad that he reactivated and killed all these people, basically. And he's like, hey, he's talking to Bennett. He's like, hey, tell them that you came to me in VR and you told me to do this. And Bennett's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. That Bennett is Saxophone Man. But he's like, I have no idea what you mean.
Yeah. And he really doesn't. You can tell.
He does not. He does.
I don't know what you're talking about, dude. Which is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So they bring Eben back, and Elizabeth and Julia are, sciencing.
What is that? Something to let the council monitor your life signs. I helped design them.
We find out that the council has put a bioprobe in everybody. And everybody's like, how? I never accepted that or agreed to it. I never would have let them do that. But Franklin tells him, well, you probably had it in your flu shot that you got. You never knew that it was being implanted, right? Doctors probably didn't even know they were doing it.
Yeah.
Like the council's sneaky hand.
It's just a device that they designed so that the council could monitor their life signs.
And it kind of starts to make sense because they talk to Franklin about what they're doing on the planet. And like, well, we're just a small group. We've got another group of colonists on their way. And Franklin's like, well, what happens after all those colonists get here? And Devon's like, I guess millions more, right? I mean, Earth's going to come. And immediately Franklin is freaked out about that whole prospect. So he knows something about what's going on because he's really nervous about millions of people showing up there.
Truth.
So they find out that the bioprobes are causing the issues, and they know something's up, and Franklin wants to call someone. So he's talking to Elizabeth about how he wants to talk. I think he calls her Eve at this point. He wants to get a hold of Eve. He sneaks back into the council ship, dials up somebody, and only what you get in 90s fashion, an amazing holographic screen pops up with a woman, and it spins the whole time. I don't know why it needs to rotate the whole time. I find it really disorienting to watch this, 2D thing just spin, and you just get the thin bezel for a minute, and you can't see anything, and then it comes back. It seemed like a really odd choice.
I don't get it either. My guess is because they couldn't figure out how to do a 3D hologram.
So that was
and so they made it 2D so everyone in the room could see it, I guess.
Just rotate it.
2D and then it keeps spinning, yeah. So, but she's like, when I saw that, I was like, the way she talked, I was like, oh, this is an AI. Like, this is a computer.
That's
all that is. It's very clear from the start. And then I think he does say that it's the mother of all computers, which is why she's named Eve.
Right. Yes. Yep. And he thinks he's doing all this in secret, but it's almost like the entire group was hiding in one dark corridor on the ship because he gets like 30 seconds into the conversation and they're like,
You didn't send us back home, love. You sent us back down. Care to tell me why?
I think you know why, Doctor.
Why don't you tell the rest of us?
More guests.
And what are you doing, Franklin?
Yeah.
And they all
see
come out.
you.
Yeah. And they all come out and get to meet Eve. And they think that Eve is responsible for the ship crashing, right? They think that Eve didn't want to let them leave the planet. Right. And we get a little hint, too, here that she's also could be responsible for the group's illness. So it's kind of a big scene.
They ask her about it, or Franklin does, and she says, well, for that, you're going to have to talk to council member Riley. And that's when everyone's like, Riley, no, Riley. Don't tell him we're here. Don't tell him we're here. Don't tell him. Don't tell him.
Turn it off. Turn her off.
But next thing you know, Riley's on screen. Yeah.
Well. Devon, Julia, and all the others. What a delightful surprise.
Yeah. And this is new Riley. We haven't seen Riley with the pencil, mustache, and the dark clothes and things yet. But he's not
also acting pretty weird. Yeah.
Yeah. He's definitely not okay.
Yep.
Yeah, he's really confused. At some point, he calls somebody mom.
Yeah. He's like just tripping over all his words. He's getting his words mixed up and confused.
Yeah.
He does say that they've been over amplifying those chips that are in everyone's head, and it's probably giving them a headache. That's how he puts it. They're like, you're killing us.
Yeah. Well, he's like, sorry about that. We're trying to fix it.
Right. Yeah. And the downside to this is there's no way to remove those chips. They are wrapped around people's brain stems, basically. And cannot be taken
the way
out.
they describe them, they're like nanobots that are wrapping around, nerves, and they're in there forever. But Riley does tell them how they can fix the problem, right? So there's some techno jargon, but basically if you get access to this core CPU and you get that information to Eve, upload it, download it, even Riley didn't know.
Yeah.
Riley's like, this jargon's so bad, I'm going to say download, upload, downline. He didn't even know. But they can fix it. They can fix the problem. But in doing so, they're also going to fix Eve, who's not doing well. So we cut away from that scene. This becomes kind of the big struggle point because Bennett doesn't want to help. He doesn't want to repair Eve. He's not interested in it. But in these next scenes, we learn that both Bennett and Elizabeth do have cold sleep syndrome and that they're dying. And Bennett, knowing this, doesn't want to help, but he's trying to explain to everybody why. And he tells them, there is no Riley. For me, Rob, my brain exploded. I was like, there's no actual Riley. I was like, I thought he was acting weird. But Bennett says Riley and Eve are the same. And there's no council. There's no orbiting station. It's all just Eve. It's just Eve up there by herself, losing her AI mind. And I didn't see any of that coming.
Yeah, that was a big surprise. A big twist. Big twist. Especially in the 90s. You think, like, we live with AI now. Not quite this kind of AI, but we talk about AI. It's a part of culture. Back then, and they never really call it an AI, but that's what it is. It's a sentient computer. And to have Riley, who we've seen as a person, like in VR, Italy, talking to Julia, like he is a person. And turn out that it is all a computer projection, and it's pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. But Bennett still refuses to help. He needs Eve to die.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really pick up the reason why. Why was Bennett so hard-pressed on just letting Eve die?
Well, so that this episode can happen.
Of course.
Again, it is not very clear.
No.
It is just not clear. And we barely know anything about why they're so afraid of the millions of people coming to this planet to colonize it. Their whole storyline is very unclear. And it is unfortunate. But basically we know, like, he built Eve and then decided she had to die. So he put in a virus that was going to kill her.
That's right.
50 years after they left the planet in cold sleep. They got into their ship. They programmed it to leave. They went into cold sleep. Eve said, you're not going anywhere. And she crashed the ship. And then after 50 years, that's when they were supposed to wake up, which is right now. And
how convenient.
And they would be at Earth, right? It's so coincidental. But they would be at Earth, and now Eve can die. I'm not sure why they needed to wait 50 years for her to die. Why didn't they just say, as soon as we're out of the system, or as soon as we launch, she should die?
Yeah. Do you think she has some control over the ship?
Yes, absolutely.
She would turn around.
Well, but not once she's dead. Like once they're launched, kill her. They're on their trajectory. Inertia is going to take them where they want to go. They don't need.
It really is just extra. For the episode.
It is. It totally is. It's bonkers.
It's like in Austin Powers when Scott's like, I got a gun. I will just go kill him right now. I got a gun. And Dr. Evil's like, no, that's not how we do things.
No.
I can go do it.
Yeah. Yep. I forgot about that part. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So all they need from Bennett is a code. Bennett isn't going to do it. Elizabeth's not trying to convince him, even though they're like romantic. Elizabeth's on his side, and Bennett dies. So they are out of luck. And at this point, it seems like their fate is sealed. Everybody's going to die. They have no access to a code. They can't fix Eve, so they can't fix the BioWare in their brains. So we assume that it's over.
Yeah, there was something that happened in here before he dies. So they meet with Riley again, I think, and they talk to him. And after the call, Devin goes back to Bennett, the sax man, and she says, "Hey, you're right. Riley is a computer. Eve did create him so that he could communicate with us." And Bennett says, "Clever girl," which proves to me that the movie Jurassic Park exists in this world, because everyone who has ever said clever girl is clearly quoting Jurassic Park. I mean, anytime I hear clever girl, it is clearly a callback to that movie. So this movie, 250 years in our future, people are still making callbacks.
Referencing
to Jurassic Park, the original. Isn't that incredible? That movie really stands the test of time. Literally 250 years from now.
That's amazing.
Yeah, what a great movie to do that. Man, clever girl.
I didn't even pick up on that, and usually I would have picked up on that. But you're right. If I say it at home, it's because I'm referencing Jurassic Park. It's not something I would ever say normally.
No.
So, ever.
Well, I do now, mostly because it has just become a part of my lexicon. Like, I will say clever girl, but it stems from Jurassic Park.
It's got a connection. It's always going to have a connection.
And anytime I say it, I'm like looking around and I'm waiting. Is someone gonna notice what I did there? Is someone gonna notice? And no one ever says a word. It's fine.
Yeah. They're like,
I know.
What a weird choice of words, dude.
Yeah.
Who says clever girl? It's weird.
Totally weird. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out.
No, that's good. Yeah, I like that connection. So Bennett dies, and Julie and Elizabeth are having a deep conversation. Julie's really trying to find out anything she can from Elizabeth about what's going on G889, why they're so afraid of the planet, why they're so afraid of Eve. She's just trying to get anything. And basically Elizabeth just says it was just a mistake to come here. Mm-hmm. That's all we get from her at this point.
One thing that does keep happening through here is people keep getting really sick and dropping like flies. Julia passed out, Bess passed out. Maybe not Julia, I forget. But right here,
yeah, Bess is really sick from the beginning.
Right.
Of the episode, yeah.
Alonzo drops right here, and Julia has to go care for him while Elizabeth's trying to tell her this story. But right before this, also, Devin gets very sick, and she passes out. And they make her comfortable, and Danziger is like stroking her hair. And I'm like, oh, things are really progressing here. Yeah.
Yeah,
and
it's sweet.
He's telling her, hey, we're all going to get through this. And she makes him promise, if something happens to me, you have to take care of everyone. I need you to look after Yuli. And he's like, you're going to be fine. And she's like, you have to promise me. Please, you have to take care of Yuli for me. And he's like, all right, yeah, fine. So he does. But yeah, they are all kind of like dropping throughout this part of the episode, off and on.
Yeah. And there is a moment, I'm glad you brought that up, because there is a moment where Devin's watching Danziger and Yuli, and Danziger picks him up, puts him on a tire on one of the rovers, and they're just having like a dad-son moment.
They are,
and it's really nice.
He's definitely like at least being like the male role model that Yuli needs in his life there. Although so is Yale. He has an abundance of male role models in his life. He's a very lucky little 9-year-old boy.
He's not being raised by the streets like us.
Right. Drinking water out of hoses in stranger yards like we're little hooligans and heathens.
I know. That's probably why we're all getting so sick all the time. You know how much mold is in a hose?
Gross. So disgusting. So disgusting.
Yep.
Anyway.
So Julie and Elizabeth have this deep conversation, and Elizabeth says, "You've got a Yale." She jumps up, she runs over to talk to Yale, and she's like, hey, you got an ARM computer thingy, majig? I don't remember what she calls it.
Her exact words, yes.
Yeah. She's like, you got a full library in there? So I'm like, okay, she's about to go into like heavy research mode. Like maybe we'll get a cool research montage. We don't get anything cool. But I would have loved to see some like 18 music and Elizabeth just tapping away on Yale's arm, doing some research. That would have been cool.
Yep.
Would have been fun.
Yeah, basically she's just like, we can set up a link, and she's gonna help them fix this. She's decided.
Yeah, they're concocting a plan to try to get everybody fixed, even Eve. Right? She's like, we can't let everybody die.
I don't know if that was the intention or not.
Well,
but
the plan, that was what was next in my notes here. Is the plan they come up with isn't real clear, because you know that she's going to try to help, and they're going to try to use Yale to link to Eve to do it.
There is a potential for sudden feedback, and we'd be unable to stop the surge. So we might lose the connection altogether. That means we'd have no way of protecting Yale.
Options. I'm short supply.
But they do talk a lot about tricking Riley into helping, and can they guarantee that Riley will also help them? And So, in typical fashion for the show, this is just one of those things. Their plans are never explained well enough that we, the audience, can understand what it is they're actually trying to do.
Nope.
It's very confusing. But they do. They go back to the Venus ship, and Yale's all plugged in, and we get some really cool VR scenes here. They get dialed in, and basically
you could almost say
Yeah.
that it's beyond cyberspace.
It is beyond cyberspace. And here's what triggered me to think of Lawnmower Man 2. When Yale's plugged in and he starts being able to see virtual reality, he says,
I can see cyberspace.
That was a hilarious line.
It was so good. It's like only the 90s can deliver that
Right.
for us.
Do you remember earlier in the show when Morgan made a remark like, it's like finding I think he says it's like finding a chip on the internet.
Yeah, a microchip on the internet.
Microchip on the internet. I was like, what?
I don't understand that.
Like at Amazon or?
Yeah, like anywhere. Like I can literally Google microchip and I will find a million places I can order one.
Or are you like literally going in and finding a chip in the internet? Like it was like, what are you talking about, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't know what the internet was going to be then.
They had no idea at this point.
Yeah. They didn't get it.
No idea. Yeah.
Yeah, but
also one other thing that happens there,
Yeah.
like when Yale, like he can see the cyberspace, he says, and then he starts seeing like some horrifying, disturbing images.
Oh, he does.
And Elizabeth is just like, you have to go past that. You have to go past that. And we have no idea what he was seeing or what it was all about.
He just, all I remember him saying was, I can see them dying.
Yeah.
And he was like locked into it for a minute.
Yeah. So she has to walk him past it. She's like, you got to look for this gateway. And she's telling him how to find it. And he and Riley both find it basically so they can establish their link.
Yeah. It sounds to me like they're trying to break a code, Bennett's code, so they can upload, downlink, whatever it was Riley was telling them to do. Ultimately, they succeed. And as they're going through the plan, though, Danziger and Julia get like attacked while this process is happening. Like, yeah, they're down on the ground, screaming, writhing in pain.
Yeah, those chips in their head are like causing severe pain.
Yeah, it's
They're
really
like,
bad.
Julia's like, you got to stop. It's killing us.
Yeah, she's just ready to be done with it. But they push through, and everybody seems fine. Riley's fixed, back to normal. All the colonists seem fine. We don't really understand what it was they were trying to do, but it sounds like they just followed Riley's plan without Bennett's code.
Yeah, basically.
I guess. I really thought they were trying to trick Eve somehow.
But... Yeah, me too. Yeah. I thought they were finding a way to fix them and kill her.
Right.
But no, she and Riley are fine.
Elizabeth stays alive to this point, right? Cold
but she's dying.
Sleep syndrome.
She's dying.
She's not doing well. And I think she's talking to Devin, and Devin's trying to get information out of her, and Elizabeth basically says,
we discovered the truth about this planet. You can't live here. The planet will reject you.
And that's all we get, and she dies.
Yep.
So we get a little bit of added mystery. And that's why they're so nervous about having a million, humans show up here, because the planet's not going to let them survive. Like, they don't have a choice. The big kicker comes right here at the end.
8 days, 12 hours, and some odd minutes after we began to die, we started to live again. But we've discovered a terrible secret about this planet that may doom all of our efforts to survive here. Our only hope may be my son and his special link with this strange new world. I'm just afraid I won't live long enough to see if I'm right.
Devin still is pretty sick, and she walks behind a tent and has some kind of attack, and she says that she's just really sick. She tells us she's never had an implant, so it's not a bio implant that's making her sick.
How she knows that? I mean, no one else knew they had one either. How does she know she doesn't have one?
She was rich.
She was very privileged.
Privileged, so maybe privileged people didn't get them, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
But she does seem like she knew about it. I mean, she must have known that other people had them then.
She knew.
Yeah.
And again, that was my assumption. She knew everybody had these implants. Again, deceptive, never telling anybody about it. I just don't understand this group.
Yep.
So Julia rushes her side, and they can't help her. They don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Devin's afraid that it's because, like, she's sick because the humans can't live here. She's like, we got to figure this out.
Right.
Because if I'm just the first one that's going to die, what's going to happen to this group, the 1,000 people that are on their way here in another year or two, and the millions that are coming after them? What are we going to do?
Yeah. So as their last ditch resort, they take her back to the colonist ship, or the council ship, sorry, and they put her in cold sleep.
Back into cryosleep. Back where we started 19 episodes ago.
Yeah.
Everybody arrived at this planet in cryosleep. Now we're going back for her.
Yeah. And that's where the episode ends.
Yeah.
They all put her to sleep, and we get some dramatic zoom outs of her in the dark, just her pod lit up. That's it.
That's why she was so adamant that Danziger take care of Yuli and take charge of this. She's like, I'm sick for a different reason. This is bad. You got to take care of my boy. Yeah. What a cliffhanger.
Yeah, and it was really intense when she gets sick, and you realize how sick she is, and everybody surrounds her, and you know, So I don't know. What did you think of this episode? Technically the season finale. Of the show.
I really, really enjoyed this episode. I really liked this. Obviously, we kind of pick apart all the places where we don't know what's going on, and it's so unclear. Kind of reminds me of the show Alias. Did you ever watch Alias with Jennifer Gardner?
I watched a few episodes. I didn't watch it regularly.
All right. So I watched the whole thing, like start to finish, and it's a really cool show. But like the things that they're doing sometimes, the sciencey things, make zero sense. And we're like, I don't understand. You're using all these terms that don't mean anything. And I'm not sure, like some TV has this kind of model. I feel like Orphan Black was like this too. But you go through and by the end of the season, you're trying to accomplish this thing and you do. But then that opens up this door to this other thing. And then as you're doing that for the next season, which then leads to something different for the next season, the further you get, the more you realize that what they did in that first one didn't mean anything. Like it was completely pointless. And now the changes that you're making now kind of undo and reverse everything that we learned there. And this kind of has some of that for me in several ways. Like Julia, when she got here, she took out her transmitter, not when she got here, but after she had been on the planet for 3 weeks or so, hiding her transmitter in her stomach, and she puked it up and she said, I've joined you on the planet. Yes. Why did she think there were council members on the planet when all there is an AI in orbit? It was very weird. Like now in retrospect, some of that stuff makes much less sense than it did originally.
Yeah. I had the same thoughts. I really liked the episode, but it's that kind of stuff that really started to bother me because we thought Riley was a person, and to find out that he's just an AI being really threw me. Because at some point, Julia made it this whole trek out here thinking that she was going to talk to Riley. She was going to be a spy for the council. And so how did the council do all this, right? Was it just
Does the council even know that Riley's there?
Right. I don't know. And so it's just weird. Those kind of holes are really pretty big because like you said, it takes me out of this amazing story that Julia was a spy, but was she? I don't know. I don't even think she knew what she was.
I'm completely okay with Riley turning out to be an AI or a computer. Like, I think that is a very cool twist, but the logistics of it, like how does it actually work in practice, makes much less sense to me now at this point. Yeah.
It's just confusing. So
there was one thing that happened in here. Well, I mean, it's a pretty big thing, but they never explain this. But, Bennett shows up in the jazz band VR playing saxophone. They never explain what's up with that. I assume that it's Eve/Riley, and they are like, hey, they're getting close to where that ship is, and they put that image in there and basically tell him to go wake up Bennett because they need, Eve and Riley need them to save him. Yeah, save the AIs. But it's definitely never, ever explained.
Oh, they don't. Yeah, he just says to Franklin in that one scene, tell them you visited me in VR. And Franklin's like, nah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
that was it. We never hear about it again.
Nope. But I'm pretty sure that's the intention.
Yeah.
I don't know what else it could be.
I think on the Wikipedia page for the episode, maybe they do talk a little bit more that it is Eve talking to Morgan in VR.
Oh, really?
I think that they state that, but again, that could just be somebody's speculation about the episode because they definitely don't touch on it in the episode.
Not the episode. Faux show. What do you think?
Yeah, I was a big fan of it. It's one of the better episodes, or up there with the better episodes we've seen.
I agree.
I still think there's just a lot of nitpicky things about the show. The writing, it feels like they always have a really good idea. They just don't put the detail in it to make things make sense. And they leave so much out, and that's where it gets me because they leave so many questions unanswered. And it's not the kinds of questions like, well, we'll just touch on it in season 2. It's very specific to that episode. If you don't talk about it now, you're not going to come back to it ever. So what's going on? Yep. But still really good. Yeah, really enjoyed it.
I agree. This was a great episode, honestly. It's definitely in my top tier of episodes of the show. It would be tempting for us to talk, since that is the season finale officially, it would be very tempting to talk about this show as a whole and give our recap, but we are going to do one more episode.
We are.
And we talked about this, I think, next time. We were actually just going to watch the next 2 episodes, which we described as afterthoughts when they were aired originally.
Yep.
So we're just going to watch them both and cover them both in our next episode here. Then we will give kind of our season overview of the entire show of Earth 2.
Yeah, it'll be It'll be interesting because I think we have to watch them in that order to really be able to give a final verdict on whether the show was canceled too soon.
To get the full experience, although by this point it was already canceled. So we technically don't even need the last two to determine because they've made that decision already at this point. However, we're not going to stop now. That would be foolish.
No, I'm a completionist. You couldn't, like, 100%. I would have to record it. If you were out, I would record it by myself because we have to do it. We have to do the last two episodes.
Yep.
So
I'm with you. Do you have recaps there?
I got Natural Born Grindlers. This episode aired the following Sunday, May 28th, 1995, with narration by Yale. Some problems intensify. Morgan seeps to escape reality. More jazz, virtual
that's
jazz.
That's what it sounds like.
You couldn't see me, but I was drumming, air
drumming.
I
can see you.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean everyone else? I'm sorry.
The listeners, our listeners.
Yes.
Our myriad of listeners. Alonzo suffers from severe depression, and the colonists need to supplement their food supply. And Bess now tries to barter with a Grindler.
Yeah.
So just reading the description takes me back to where it should have fit, because it would have fit perfectly. They would have left it there.
This was episode 6, so this would have happened, an episode or two after the Gaul arc.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have been a very good fit back there. Let's see, the next episode after that is Flower Child, and this came out the week after Natural Born Grindlers. And as I mentioned, this was episode 20 originally, so this actually would have been the episode right before the season finale. So they just skipped this one. Mm-hmm. And maybe we'll get some answers about how long they were in Mary's garden or whatever happened there. But in this one, it says, scouting in all directions, Danziger, Bess, and Morgan come upon colorful flower buds which burst open, throwing a golden powder in their faces. The flower pollen carries a sickness that causes them to emit a golden vapor. So they're still scouting.
I know. I was just like, oh my gosh, the scouting with these
They're
people.
still scouting, and they're sick again. I feel like we've had numerous sick episodes in this show.
I actually had that in a note that there is definitely a recycling of ideas for these. It's like, we don't know what to do. Let's just make them sick. It's sick, or
some
they
weird
find
alien
random
sickness.
humans. Yeah, or there's random humans that pop up they got to deal with. Those are the two themes definitely through season 1.
Yeah,
for sure.
And sometimes those themes overlap.
They do.
They're in the same episode.
Yep, you get a little bit of both.
It's fine.
Yeah.
So this was what a cliffhanger here. I can't wait to see what happens in the next episode with Devin in this coma in the cryo sleep. This is going to be crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
It's going to be good. Yeah.
Are you going to start writing some fan fiction to fill in the gap, Rob?
Man, we talked about this. What I think would be so cool here would be a comic book series going forward.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Just pick up right here and move forward and tell the continuing story. And I think that would be really cool. Honestly, if you and I could figure out how to acquire the rights to that, which we will not do because it's going to be too much work just to figure it out, let alone pay for it. But, if we could figure out how to do it, and then we could start like a GoFundMe to raise the funds from all of our listeners so that we could go out and acquire these rights. But we'd also need a GoFundMe to hire an artist to illustrate our stories, because let me tell you, folks, we've done this before, but comic book art is not cheap. And
it is not cheap.
Unless you have a friend who's willing to draw for you for free, you have to pay someone to do it, and it adds up. But regardless, it would be so cool to write the comic book telling this continuing story. I think it'd be so cool. I definitely have thoughts and ideas about where this story goes. Just from watching the show, like, things come to my mind out of this would be really cool to see in the next season or 16 seasons from now. Whenever. It would be really cool.
Yeah, like, I want to see more Eve. Now that I know this wild AI is a thing, I want to see more Eve and more Riley.
Yeah.
And, their current state, how we know them to be as AI. So,
I want to see more future Yuli.
Yeah.
But,
was a pretty cool episode.
Maybe from a different timeline. Why not? It could be a different future. That'd be so cool.
Yeah.
Honestly,
you have your own little Terminator stretch of stories for this whole show.
Right.
This whole world.
Man. Yeah.
It'd be so cool.
I definitely have thoughts and ideas, but, unfortunately, those are not going anywhere. But it would be really cool. It'd be really cool. So,
it would be.
So, anyway, we got 2 episodes left. We'll do them next time.
Yep.
So 2 show episodes, 1 episode of ours. We will end this season with 19 episodes, but don't worry, folks. After a short break, we'll be back with something else.
Yeah. Something cool and
we'll
amazing.
Figure it out.
A show that hopefully you didn't even know existed.
Right. That'd be awesome.
We got some ideas. We got a list. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave some comments, interact with us on the social medias.
Please.
We would love to hear from you. Please. I have been one of your hosts, Aaron.
I have been your other host, Rob.
And thanks for listening. Catch you next time.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. Are we live? Are we live now?
Yeah.
Zoinks.
Zoinks. And I'm Aaron, and welcome to episode 18. Let me start that again. You're good. I was not. Let me mark that clip there. And I'm Aaron, and welcome oh my gosh. And I'm Aaron.
We just watched.
Did that on purpose.
We just watched Christmas Vacation last night, and you remember the part where he asks for the drum roll, and like his father-in-law is going.
Yeah, because he can't roll his R's. Yeah. That's what we do that every year. Neither my wife or I can roll our R's, so we try to do that scene when we watch it, and we do the same thing the dad does, because that's all we can do.
I didn't realize that it was the same muscle for rolling an R as it is for, but I guess it makes sense as I do it. I can see it's doing the same thing to my tongue.
Yeah, and but we've always heard that it's genetic, and that some people can do it and some people can't. But both the kids can.
Interesting.
And her parents can.
Weird.
My parents can't. Oh, my mom can't. So
it skipped generations.
Yeah, it's weird. So all right, I'm gonna try my opening again.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right. Do you remember what was the story? Because I was still pretty young. You were probably much older than me.
Yeah.
So
then and now. I was still much older than you.
But I heard it was like the way they introduced the character was they interrupted normal programming, like the airwaves had been hacked, and Max Headroom came on screen for a few seconds or a few minutes or something and then disappeared, and they went back to regular programming. So it was like one of the first viral things that happened.
I did not know that. I did not know that.
I could be wrong. I forgot what I was saying. Max Headroom. So if anybody knows better, tell us, in the comments. Let me know if I'm wrong. I'm not going to look this one up. I just feel like I remember it, and I think it's a cool memory to have.
For me, he was just always there. Like I don't even know anything about Max Headroom except that he was like an iconic, memorable 80s thing. I never watched it. I know very little about it. So it was just an 80s thing to me.
Yeah, I think my first introduction was Back to the Future.
Back to the Future, too.
It's like the first time I ever saw the character.
Yeah, that was the first time. I was aware of him before that, but it was not big on my radar, honestly.
Yeah.
So,
yep.